Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWAS UCLA LSU College Football Week 4. Let's go.
Welcome to the SWAS. The SWAS. SWAS. Hey, get the SWAS.
All right, like I said, UCLA's on the road down in Baton Rouge here. LSU laying 24.5 points in this one, total sitting at 55.5. Let's take a look at the pie charts. According to this data, again, take it with a grain of salt, as I've repeated 1,000 times. Public action was coming in on LSU, looking more split 50-50. So some public action coming in on UCLA, I guess, according to this data. Money continues to be leaning towards LSU, though. Anyway, let's get into it, and we'll start with UCLA's game last week, which was a disappointment, to put it delicately. They got their asses beat on their home field by 9-win Indiana. Indiana won by 30 points, and honestly, that score was pretty indicative of how it went. I mean, they beat the hell out of them. UCLA could not make a single stop. So let's take a look at this matchup against LSU. UCLA's been throwing the ball this year, 22nd in passing frequency. They haven't been great at it. I mean, they're 79th in yards per play, 85th in yards per carry, 72nd in yards per attempt. Effective pass, they're still 51st, which means some advanced metrics suggest that this still might be a decent passing offense. We haven't really seen it yet, and it's not like they've played monster defenses. They played Hawaii, struggled to move the ball against Hawaii, who was 114th in DFEI. Another game was against Indiana, when granted, this Indiana team looks pretty good, but still 68th in DFEI. So it's not like they've played some grueling schedule or anything. The truth is, Ethan Garbers is just not playing very well. 272 yards, a touchdown, 2 picks, a serious drop-off from his production last season. I mean, he had a 67.1% completion percentage last year, 54.1% through 2 games this year. So just not off to the same start as, or that's not playing at the same level he was playing at last year. And you know what? The same goes for TJ Harden running the ball. Last year, he had 827 yards on the ground, 5.3 yards per carry, 8 rushing touchdowns. He's averaging 2.7 yards per carry to start this season. So, like I said, the UCLA offense just a disappointment across the board. They're not creating a ton of space in the run game. They're actually 107th in run block grade, 68th in offensive line yards, 79th in stuff rate. They've actually been really good on short yardage situations, first in power success rate. There's something. And also, they're first in sack rate. The offensive line has not allowed a single sack. Now, that doesn't mean Ethan Garbers hasn't been sacked, but my spreadsheet goes by sacks allocated to the offensive line. So the offensive line hasn't allowed a single sack. They are allowing a ton of pressure, though. 110th in pressure rate, 125th in hurry rate. And when Ethan Garbers gets pressured, he throws interceptions. F QB rating, F turnover-worthy play rate when pressured. So UCLA struggling to protect the passer. Garbers not handling the pressure well. In this LSU defense, it's not good. We saw South Carolina expose it a little bit, but they can pressure the passer. And I was saying this entering the season. If there's one aspect of LSU's defense you want to put some faith in, they brought back some edge rushers from last year. Harold Perkins is still on the team, even though he plays a lot of inside linebacker now. But still, LSU can get to the quarterback, so I would imagine they're able to get to Ethan Garbers in this one. If you're looking for a weak spot of this LSU defense, you got to look at the run defense, because South Carolina couldn't run the ball on anybody entering this year. In fact, they couldn't even run the ball on anybody last year. LSU snapped that. 5.9 yards per carry, 243 yards on the ground, 4 rushing touchdowns against LSU. And again, this is a team that couldn't run the ball entering this game. So maybe this is exactly what UCLA, who also cannot run the ball at all, maybe this is the exact defense they need to see. Maybe LSU's defense is the cure for a struggling run game. And if you look at LSU's overall defensive numbers here, this is not good. 104th in yards per play allowed, 94th in success rate, 107th in PPA. They are 49th in run defense success rate, so there's something, but as a whole, I really don't have a ton of faith in this LSU defense other than pressuring the passer. So maybe you can look at this as a spot for UCLA's offense to finally show up and make some plays because you don't trust LSU's defense. I wouldn't really argue that point. I would say this offense looks really bad, though, and I would be hesitant about it. Anyway, let's flip it over to the other side and look at LSU's offense, which obviously is just one of the best passing attacks in the NFL, in the FBS. They're actually rated first in effective pass, 8th in passing success rate. They're rated second in OFEI. Even without Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, this is still one of the best offenses in the country. I mean, they probably do have the best offensive line in the country. We'll get to that in a second. We saw the comeback. South Carolina was up 24-16 at half. LSU rattles off 20 points in the second half to get the win. No problems with the LSU offense. We can poke holes in the LSU defense, but this LSU offense can definitely score. I will say Garrett Nussmeier's struggles in the fourth quarter are a little concerning, super early into the season, but in the first 3 quarters of football games, he's completing over 74% of his passes, over 251 yards per game, 9 touchdowns, no picks. Those numbers obviously significantly worse in the fourth quarter of games, but I don't know if that really factors into the handicap. I just thought it was interesting enough to mention. And one thing you do have to give to LSU is it's not like they've played nobodies. They played USC, whose defense looked greatly improved. They're actually 39th in DFEI. They played South Carolina, as we know, top 25 defense. Nicholls, not so much, but it's not like LSU's offense hasn't played anybody. They have, and they still look elite. UCLA defense is sitting right in the middle there, 47th in DFEI. It's definitely not last year's UCLA defense, which might have even been a top 10, top 15 unit. Definitely not there, but their defense hasn't been terrible. I mean, like I said, they've been solid against the run. Look at the pass defense, though, 130th in success rate, and that's a little concerning because we know LSU likes to throw the ball a lot. So far this season, they're 24th in pass frequency, and that's pretty on par with what we can expect from this LSU offense. They're going to throw the ball, and UCLA has really struggled against the pass. And let's be honest, we're probably not going to see a ton of pressure on Nussmeier here. LSU's offensive line was one of the best in the country in terms of pass protection last year, and they brought back 4 of their 5 starters. So this might be the best pass protection in the FBS here, and UCLA's pass rush is gone. Their edge rushers from last year, they're both in the NFL. It's not that it's a terrible pass rush, but it's nothing compared to last year's. So Nussmeier should have all day to throw in the pocket. And look at his numbers. I mean, 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 7.7 yards per pass attempt. He's actually done a great job handling pressure as well. So even if by some chance UCLA is able to get through LSU's pass protection, Nussmeier has shown us that he can handle it. So Nussmeier should have a career day here. We just saw Curtis Rourke go off on this UCLA defense, 25 of 33, 307 yards, 4 touchdowns. Curtis Rourke's pretty good, but he's not Garrett Nussmeier in the LSU. Well, I shouldn't say he's not Garrett Nussmeier. Indiana's passing offense is certainly not LSU's passing offense. That's probably a more accurate way to say it. And also, we got a new playmaker emerging here on the LSU offense, Caden Durham. 98 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns on 8.9 yards per carry. So add another weapon in there. So as much as I think LSU's defense might be exactly what UCLA needs in terms of getting their offense going, and I think UCLA might be able to get the ball up and down the field a couple times, I don't know if they're going to make a single stop here on the road at LSU. So I would lean LSU minus the points, but I'm a little worried about that defense. So why not just go over? 55.5, let's do it. Give me the over. One thing I want to add, I know UCLA has run a super slow pace. They're actually 131st in pace this year, which is terrifying if you're betting an over. But both these teams have super high pass frequencies. 2 passing attacks means incompletion, stop the clock, definitely helping over. So even though UCLA does run a slow pace, still think the over is the way to go here. If you want to see all the bets I currently have open, head over to KyleKirms.com and click on Open Bets. You'll see mine as well as everyone on the staff here. Also, if you sign up for Sauce Network Plus, it comes with access to the Discord, and you can participate in the weekly betting league. So head over to the website and sign up if you're interested. Live show Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Time up to kickoff. We'll be live for 2 straight hours going through every single game. If you're able to make it, we'd love to see you in the comments. Let's have ourselves a great week 4. We need it because week 3 killed me. Let's go ahead and bet responsibly. Talk to you in the Discord.